Hello everybody, it's been quite a while since I've made a video and I had really thought about giving up on this channel, but there's one more thing I need to put out there. So if you're still following along, if you could spread this word out, I would really appreciate it. Back when I was driving a truck, I got a job with a job offer with a company that was, we won't call any names here, but they were paying really good money. And I was in truck driving for the money. I'm not in it for the glory or for anything else. I strictly was trying to build up a retirement account, and I knew retirement was coming. And so that was my purpose, and I was all about the money. So anyway, I went to work, or I quit one job and went to work with another. And when I went through the orientation, this company had their own people out there to do their own medical evaluations. And so these people, the FMCSA made a ruling that said that if you had one of five, or you had any two of these five conditions, then you had to go on a CPAP machine. Whether you had sleep apnea or not, if you had any two of these five, you had to go on. One of them was high blood pressure, and one of them was your neck was 17 inches or bigger. So being a truck driver and sitting in a truck all day, I had gained weight, and my neck got up to 17 inches. I mean, if you did it loosely, it was at 17 inches. Anyway, I have high blood pressure, but it's borderline. It's not the type that if I don't take my medication, then I get into stroke range, but they insist that I take blood pressure medicine. Not crazy about that. Anyway, that was my two. I forget what the other three were. It didn't involve me, but one of them was actually having sleep apnea. I don't know what the others were. Anyway, this company basically told me that if I wanted to have a job with them, after they give me a sleep test, a sleep apnea test, it came back, they said, well, you don't have sleep apnea, but you do snore every once in a while, and it's less than the threshold, but we're going to go ahead and put you on a CPAP machine anyway because you have high blood pressure and your neck is at 17 inches. So you've got to be on a CPAP machine if you want to drive with us. So this cost me right at $1,000. It was like $989. They sell you the machine, so it's like they're in the business to sell you CPAP machines to start off with. And if you want to have a job with them, then this is what it's going to take. So anyway, I had already quit my other job and I wanted the money, so I went along with this. Well, it turns out that I sleep on my stomach most of the time, or during the night I roll over and sleep on my stomach, and of course my face is pressed to the side here, which presses the CPAP machine off the fitting. No matter which fitting I went with, I bought them all. It's quite expensive to buy all of these fittings to go on your face. None of them work because it would throw the thing off to the side and it would just blow air all night, which would make the CPAP machine go into error mode. The CPAP machine is connected to the internet through Wi-Fi, and every day it sends this report out to the company that made the machine, who then relays that information to the trucking company. And if you go too many days where you're having a default or a fault setting in this CPAP machine, then the trucking company calls you up and go, look, man, if you don't get this figured out and do it right, then we're going to have to let you go. So that pissed me off big time. It wasn't that I had sleep apnea. It wasn't for any other reason other than this large neck, and and the high blood pressure. So I did it, and of course I went through a series of them calling me going, hey, you had a default or you had a fault in your sleep. You know, you got to get this figured out or we're going to have to let you go. Okay. So I began to think of how can I bypass this machine? And I watched, there's several videos out there on YouTube already with people that have been in the same boat that I have been in, where they can't sleep with a CPAP machine, but in order to have a job, that they've got to make this thing, they got to figure it out. Some of them kind of, I saw one that had a cardboard box and he blew air into a cardboard box and had a bunch of duct tape. And anyway, that's really not a solution. I have seen drivers driving down the road. It says you've got to use it for a minimum of 4 hours a day. That's the ruling from the FMCSA, is that CPAP machine has to be used a minimum of 4 hours a day. And I've seen drivers driving down the road. It doesn't say what, it don't know if you're asleep or awake. It just knows whether you're using it or not. So I've seen drivers driving down the road with their CPAP machine on for their 4 hours a night, and that way they don't have to sleep with the thing, and they can get a good night's sleep otherwise. And I did that too, yeah, but that's kind of silly looking, and it even so, it's still an aggravation to drive down the road with the CPAP machine on. So I got to thinking of how I could come up with a way to bypass this, and I got to studying. There's all kinds of things to consider whenever you get to looking at this. Number one, the CPAP machine knows if you're breathing in and out, in and out. It knows how much volume of air you're using. It knows the number of breaths per minute. So any variance in that can cause it to go into the fault mode, where the CPAP machine will know that something isn't right here. So anyway, I built a machine. I got to ordering parts off of Amazon and off of eBay and off of some Chinese sites. And I finally come up with enough. You know, it was kind of funny. I'm out on the road sitting there at night with this machine on. I had to lay there for 4 hours wide awake with this machine on. And I would sit there and watch YouTube videos, and I learned a lot of stuff actually off of watching YouTube videos. But anyway, I came up with a machine that I built. It took me a couple of prototypes to perfect it, but it knows how the volume of air that a normal human being breathes at rest. The number of breaths per minute, that varies. It goes up and down. You have to expel air, but you can't expel too much because that'll throw it into a fault mode. So anyway, I built a machine and I started using this thing, and I used it for about 2 years. That every night all I had to do was turn my machine on and turn the CPAP machine on. They're hooked to each other. This thing thought that the CPAP machine thought that it was hooked up to a human being, and it was going every night. I learned to live with the noise that it made. However, I could have had it running while I was driving down the road, and the noise wouldn't be an issue. I've heard people complain about the noise. Oh, how much noise did it make? I can't sleep with noise. You know, my truck cranked up and shut down, cranked up and shut down all night, every night. Anyway, there was people in the truck stops and in the rest stops that was coming and going, and car door slamming, people talking. If I could sleep through that, the machine from a regular noise from a CPAP machine ain't gonna make no difference. I don't care who you are. Anyway, it didn't make a whole lot of noise, but it did make a little. But it didn't bother my sleeping a bit. I slept like a baby with that thing over there doing its thing. The only thing is every once in a while I'd forget to shut it off, and it would go for 10 or 12 hours before I realized it was on, and I shut it off. Nobody seemed to matter. It met the minimum requirements for 4 hours a night. So anyway, I went and I got a U.S. patent on my invention. It went through a patent attorney. It took about a year to go through, and once it finally got through, they didn't like some of the wording that was in it. It had to be edited. The description had to be edited, and it was resubmitted, and that time it was going through, and I got issued a U.S. patent on my invention. Now, I had thought about trying to produce these myself and sell them out on the market, and for other people that are in it. If you love your CPAP machine and couldn't live without it and think I'm trying to kill people with what I'm doing, so be it. You know, if you love your machine, then by all means you use it every night and you believe that it's going to save your life. In my particular position, that wasn't what it was about. It was strictly a interpretation of a ruling from the FMCSA, which by this new Chevron decision from the Supreme Court says that agencies like the FMCSA cannot make rules and regulations anymore. It has to come through any rule, law, or whatever has to come through Congress. So that has not come through Congress. It has not been approved. So in my particular case, the CPAP deal may have flown out the window anyway, but if you're interested in manufacturing these and selling them out on the market, and you're interested in purchasing my rights to my CPAP machine or leasing the rights to my CPAP machine, I would certainly be interested in talking to you. It's definitely, I know there's enough based on the number of views that CPAP bypass machines have received here on YouTube. I know there's a heck of a market out there for them. We're talking about 100,000 or better units that could be sold. It's not exactly a cheap solution, but if you want to get a good night's sleep, people are willing to pay $200 or $300 to have a machine that will let them get a good night's sleep every night and not have to be bothered with the CPAP machine. Anyway, jiggyflytrucker@gmail.com. Send me an email. Tell me who you are and that you're interested. I'll give you some more information. I'll give you the patent number. You can go look it up yourself. However, I have to admit that the patent and the description out there is not exactly what I have produced, but I've made some improvements on it since then. It does have some electronics in there. It's got some mechanical things in there. There's some other tips and tricks that makes it work that are not necessarily in the patent, but the patent is a general, it covers me for any variance of anybody coming up with this. Anyway, if you're one of the people that are looking for, if you're a manufacturer or a venture capitalist and you're interested in doing this, shoot me an email or leave me a message down below on how to contact you, and I'll be glad to do that. jiggyflytrucker@gmail.com. That's my email address. In the meantime, y'all keep on trucking out there. I wish I could be with you. I really enjoyed my time out on the road. I know you do too. I understand now that what driving a truck is all about. I miss it. So anyway, y'all drive safe, and we'll see you next time.